Welcome to the She Would Know podcast,
where curiosity meets expertise.
Welcome to the She Would Know podcast. I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Shayna. Happy She Would Know Wednesday. How's your day been?
It's been good. I am halfway through my maternity leave and ready to go back to work. Ready to talk to some adults. Ready to get out of the house. We need to talk more.
It's funny how we can have such different postpartum experiences, because I am a hermit after I have a baby. And you're just like, yeah, I'm ready to go back to work. I'm ready to get out of the house. And I admire you for it.
Yeah. I have the urge to do everything. I'm like, I want to go backpacking. I want to go ride a bike race. I want to, all these things I physically cannot do. Yeah. I probably couldn't even walk a mile right now, but the urge is there.
The urge is there, and maternity leave will end soon.
It will. A month will go by really fast.
It will.
Yeah, but I'm really excited for our interview today. But before we do that, should we do our She Should Knows?
Yes, we should.
Okay, you've got a good one. You should go first.
I'll start. So I had to get new tires on my van today, which I knew it was coming because I've had 3 nails or screws in my tire over the past few weeks. So I knew I had to get them replaced. But my She Should Know for the day is that Discount Tire, if you have a nail or screw in a repairable spot on your tire, they will repair them for free. Which...
That seems so generous.
Which is so generous. I think in the past I've gone to, I don't even know where, but it would be $15 for a nail repair. And the fact that I've had to repair 3 in the last 2 weeks and it just be free was just oh, well, that's really nice.
I love that.
If you get a nail in your tire or suspect, go to Discount Tire first.
Okay.
And they'll fix it.
Gotta file that away.
Yeah. Save some money.
That's awesome. Okay. Mine is way less helpful, but did you know that a giraffe's tongue on average is 20 inches long?
No, I did not know that.
That is so long, because your forearm is usually about a foot. So it's 2 forearms. That is really long.
That is very long.
That's as long as my baby. That's hope. My baby was 21 inches long when he was born.
All right. There's something you should know.
You should know that. Yeah.
Do with that what you will. Okay. All right. So today we are interviewing Alex, who is a doula and hypnobirthing expert. She helped Chelsea with her recent birth experience.
Yeah. I took her class and she was amazing.
Yeah. And Chelsea found it really beneficial. Mm-hmm. I know nothing about hypnobirthing, and I don't really see myself needing the information in the future because I have scheduled C-sections, but I'm excited to learn.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. And I think it's always important to say when it comes to birth that everyone can birth however they want. There's no good or bad way, right? Healthy mom, healthy baby, that's a great birth. So
yeah, but knowing different strategies and tools you can implement to help you get the birth experience that you want, we're here to teach you guys new things, and we'll learn things ourselves. So hopefully you guys learn at least something from this interview and get to know Alex a little better and learn about hypnobirthing. We're really excited to share it with you guys. So let's get into it.
Sounds great.
Okay, so today we have Alex on the podcast. Alex grew up with a paralyzing fear, her words, of labor and childbirth. After her first birth didn't go as planned, she dove into educating herself about all things childbirth, reading books, listening to podcasts, birth stories, watching videos, and diving into evidence-based research. She learned that childbirth could be empowering, beautiful, and even peaceful, which launched her into her journey to become a doula and hypnobirthing educator. Alex has been married to her husband for 7 years and is currently pregnant with baby boy number 3. She loves spending time with family, reading, going to the beach, playing pickleball, Pilates, bike rides, trying new restaurants, and of course, birth. Her hope is for every mom to go into their birth feeling empowered, educated, and with confidence in themselves to birth their baby. Alex, welcome to She Would Know.
you. Thank you. I'm excited.
We're so excited to have you on. I've never met you before. Chelsea, of course, knows you, but it's so nice to meet you.
Yes, nice to meet you and nice to see you, Chelsea.
Thanks. And last time I saw you, you weren't pregnant. So how far along are you?
I am. Well, I might have been. Was I 28 weeks? I'm 28 weeks.
Wow. Okay, so you probably were. Yeah.
I probably was. I'm like, I can't remember when. Yeah, when. But yes, 28 weeks. So I'm due in October.
How fun. How old are your other kids?
My other kids, I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Okay.
So
a nice spread.
Boys. Yep. So all
fun.
boys. Another boy.
Wow.
What made you? This is for me personally because I have 2 kids and we're like baby number 3. I'm not sure. What made you decide baby number 3?
Yeah, it wasn't planned. So that was like didn't have a choice.
Nature made its choice for you.
That's
yes.
so fun.
But yes, I kind of wanted a bigger age gap. I had a 3-year age gap with my first too. And I really liked that age gap. This one will be like 2.5 years. So it's not like so close, but we'll see how it goes this time with it being a little bit
It'll be
younger.
so fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be great.
Yeah, so we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, well, we are so excited to have you on to talk about all of the things. But let's get started with rapid fire questions. So these are just silly questions to just get to know you a little bit better.
Break the ice.
Break the ice. Just answer as quick as you can, okay?
Okay, perfect.
What is your favorite meal to make?
Ooh, probably chicken Alfredo.
Ooh, what is your hobby?
Hobby, I feel like I like playing pickleball. That's a good one.
That is a hobby I want to adopt soon.
It's fun. It's fun.
What are 3 words to describe yourself in high school?
Oh, in high school? That's a hard one. I would say in high school, I feel like I was kind of quiet, but I don't know.
That's okay.
I like to have fun, though. I don't know. That's a hard one.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll do the next one. Finish this sentence. The way to my heart is...
The way that my heart is...
The way to my heart.
Oh, the way to my heart. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay. The way to my heart is, I would say, talking about birth with me. I love that. That's like how I make most of my friends. So.
Great. We are about to win you over then. Okay.
Yes, I know. I'm like, yeah, you're on a good track.
What time do you usually wake up in the morning?
Oh, my kids are early risers. So really anytime between like 5 and 6:30. We're
yes.
up.
I was up at 5:30 this morning with my kids.
Yeah.
What is one item you cannot live without?
One thing I cannot live without. I'd probably say my phone, but that seems so lame.
That's okay. The truth.
I feel like I'm so dependent on it for everything.
Me too. Okay, and last one. What do you do? What do you do when you have alone time?
Alone time. I love to read, so that's like that's my thing. I just
what are you reading right now?
Yeah, so I just barely finished Crescent City 3, so I just made it all the way through, if you know, like Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just finished all her books, so that was my last series of hers, so I just got through all of them.
What did you think of the 3rd one?
It was interesting. I actually really liked 1 and 2 of Crescent City, which I was nervous about because I had heard people say kind of mixed things about Crescent City. The 3rd one was like a little chaotic, it felt. It's a little all over the place.
Yeah, it was I've read them all. And I felt like, this is, since you just read them all, I felt like she tried to make, what was her name? I don't even remember the main character's name. Bryce. I felt like she tried to make her into Aelin. And it was just like the same, but it wasn't the same.
But it wasn't the same. I'm like, you can't. That's what I said to my husband, too. My husband's cute. He reads them all with me. We've been doing book clubs. So he read them with me. So, yeah, I was talking to him about that. I was like, because like she would always have the plans that no one knew about. I don't know. She definitely did try to. And you just can't be Aelin.
You can't. It's just not the same. So, yeah. Anyways, I love to read. I'm a big reader. I'm reading like 4 books right now. So.
Okay. Yeah. I need some new. I'll have to ask you for recommendations.
I love talking about books. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, fun. Alrighty. So we are going to jump in to our conversation about hypnobirthing. I know nothing about hypnobirthing. I've had 2 kids. My first one was induction ended in C-section. My second one was scheduled C-section. So I haven't done the labor process, and I've never really looked into hypnobirthing because that's not like in my future. But hearing about Chelsea's experience and how it helped her do her home birth, I'm just like fascinated about the process. I love talking about childbirth, but hypnobirthing isn't something you exactly learn about. It's not something I learned about in my labor and delivery classes in nursing school because it's not exactly traditional. So I'm super excited to talk with you and learn about how it helps women in childbirth.
Well, yeah, no, I'm excited. It'd be good.
Awesome. Well, okay, tell us about your journey to becoming a doula and a hypnobirthing instructor.
Yeah, so kind of like you said in my bio, but growing up, I was just terrified of birth. I would even tell my mom, like, I wasn't going to have my own kids. I was so scared. I think just all like the programming that's everywhere in media, just birth stories that you hear from people, it really terrified me just hearing all of those. And so when I was pregnant with my first, I did take a childbirth class and it was really good. And I feel like I learned a lot, but I still feel like it didn't necessarily like click. I feel like I'm someone that has to learn by like doing. So I had to experience it myself in order to kind of make those decisions and to have it really like sink in. And so with my first labor, it was pretty long. And when I got to the hospital, I just didn't know how to really speak up for myself or advocate for myself. So there was a lot of things that were pushed upon me that I didn't necessarily want. And so my birth plan kind of went out the window. And once my baby was born, I kind of left that birth experience and started motherhood feeling very disempowered, disconnected. I remember feeling very empty. Even just like right after, I just remember thinking like there has to be something more, like something's missing. And so it was really sad. I was really sad about it. And I had postpartum depression, which I really think a lot of my birth experience led into me having some of those like mental health things that had happened. And so through all of that, kind of after I had him, I kind of started looking into all things birth. The podcast, people on Instagram that maybe had home births or unmedicated hospital births, books, kind of all the things. And I saw this whole different side of birth and how it could be when it's not driven by fear of it. And so I heard about doulas and I was like, if I would have had a doula at my birth, I think it would have been a game changer for that experience. And so I was like, I should become a doula. And so that's really how I kind of became a doula, is through my own experience, thinking that would be so helpful to have had one. And then I looked into becoming one. And so I did that. And I did that for maybe like 2 years or so. And I still am a little bit here and there. I've had some friends' births that I went to this year. But for the most part, I've kind of stopped doing the doula side as much. And I started teaching hypnobirthing. I got certified as a hypnobirthing educator. And that was just a little bit easier. Having kids, it was so hard being on call. I didn't know when I was leaving or when I'd be back, and the childcare aspect. So just all of that. But teaching has been really nice because it's just, I know when I'm going to teach and what nights and what times, and it's a lot more, it's easier to plan around and schedule. So that's kind of like a very brief, my journey, my experience with that and how I got into the whole birth world.
Very cool. So can you explain what exactly hypnobirthing is? And is it like a different approach than traditional childbirth, or is it just like something that is added to childbirth? Like, give us some context.
So what hypnobirthing is, specifically a way that it's different from maybe other classes, is that it has a really big focus on self-hypnosis techniques. So this could be relaxation, visualization, positive affirmations, breathing, meditation. So really it's all these tools that it gives women to be able to feel calm in labor, to feel confident in labor. And a main pillar of hypnobirthing is that it's called the fear, tension, pain cycle. So that fear causes us to have tension in our body, which then that tension can cause us to have pain. And so then when we feel that pain, we then get more fear, which then we're more tense, and then we feel more pain, and it can get this cycle that we can get stuck in. And so we really aim to remove that fear throughout hypnobirthing, throughout the courses with meditations and those positive affirmations, so that it's switched with those positive messaging so that moms can go in feeling confident and then not have that fear causing tension and the pain and all that cycle. So yeah.
And it really does work.
It really is. It is crazy. Just, yeah, something I love about hypnobirthing is that it focuses on really mom becoming connected to herself and to her body, where it's really all on mom. We're not outsourcing it, but mom has that power to do that and has that mindset. And I always tell people that birth is a very huge mindset game. And I love hypnobirthing because it does have that focus on mindset and on that. So it's a really good thing. It goes over basic childbirth, like options that you'll have in the hospital and different things like that. But then it adds this emphasis on mindset and preparing our minds.
Yeah. And that's what really drew me to hypnobirthing, is because I felt like my first birth like happened to me, and I wanted to feel more control next time going into it. Not that it's really anything you can control, but I don't know, I wanted the illusion that I had control.
Yeah, no, that's true. Like, it's not, yeah, there's always that surrender aspect of birth, right? We never know how it's going to go exactly, but there are things that we can control. And those things are like our mindset, our breathing, those different things we can have somewhat sense of control, right?
Yeah.
So Chelsea, since you literally just did this, how, like, can you explain how you implemented that cycle or whatever into your recent birth experience?
Yeah. So there's this one meditation called the Rainbow Relaxation, and I listened to that every night for months, and it kind of talks you through different, I feel like it really prepared my mind to like think about birth, different things I wanted in birth, gives you like different things to visualize. There's other meditations as well to work on the fear part. Like, I was not afraid to give birth at all after all the work that I put in through hypnobirthing, which led me to wanting to do a home birth because I just wasn't scared of it anymore. I was like, oh, I don't need a whole team of medical staff to do this thing. But like in my actual birth itself, like when I was having contractions, my only focus was on my breath instead of like the pain or the discomfort or whatever. Like, I was just focusing on my breath and trying to keep my body relaxed. And that kept my body very relaxed, and my birth progressed like super quickly. And I think it's because I was so relaxed and comfortable in my own home. So yeah, I think like the actual, what does it look like? Like, I mean, you walked in when I was in the middle of labor.
Yeah.
Laying in my bed with no pants on. I was like, oh, hey. Yeah, my whole focus was just trying to stay relaxed and to stay calm. And it really made it not a terrible experience. Like my first, I felt like was a pretty terrible experience.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I just watched, Jane, the influencer who makes those funny influencer videos. I just watched, I don't like follow her or anything, but her like birth vlog popped up on YouTube, and she did an unmedicated birth, but it was like prior to her going to the hospital. She was just talking about like, well, I really want to do this, but I'm feeling really anxious. She's like, I wish I'd taken a hypnobirthing class. And I'm like, I'm about to learn what that is today. And funny. And it was just really interesting now kind of hearing more about it and like watching her birth vlog. She's like, she did have a lot of fear and there was a little bit more tension. She ended up having a successfully unmedicated birth, but I wonder if she had done that and had those skills, like maybe it would have been a little bit more relaxed and she would have felt more confident in her abilities versus like having to outsource that, like, do you think you can do this? And her husband being like, yeah, you can do it. And the nurse being like, yeah, you can do it. I don't know. So anyways, that was just a fun little connection that I had today.
Yeah. I think I saw that same video today. It popped up on my Instagram.
Yeah. So it was really interesting.
Okay. So what are the main, I feel like I've experienced them, but for everyone else, what are the main benefits of using hypnobirthing during labor?
Yeah, so I would say one of the biggest benefits, kind of like what both of you just talked about, was it can help reduce that anxiety or fear and help mom manage stress during pregnancy, but also then during labor and birth too. The breathing techniques that you learn during the series, they can help relax, help with oxygen, help ease anxiety, different things like that. A lot of moms have like a reduced need for pain medication, or less moms ask for pain medication. I just saw a study that was done, and it said that 51% of the people reported a 5.8 on like a pain scale of 10, which I thought was so interesting and they were moms that had used hypnobirthing. But it's so interesting just because when you hear your whole life that it's the worst pain you'll ever feel, it's like an 11 out of 10 on the pain scale, right? Where these moms are only reporting that it maybe got to like a 5.8 or different things like that. So I just thought that was interesting. And I really think it does come back to that when we don't fear it and we don't hold that tension in our body, it really does help it to just kind of go how it was supposed to go and how we were made to birth. And so it makes things go a lot smoother.
Yeah, I think that is so true. Like at the very beginning of my pregnancy, I rolled my ankle over the side of our sidewalk. You know, it was like a, I don't know, 3-inch drop and like rolled my ankle over it. It hurt so bad. And I remember like getting into my house and like shaking. It hurt so bad. And I think that hurt worse than labor.
Yeah, you're like, that was
I mean, other than like the moments you're pushing your baby out, I will say that was pretty painful. Like you just can't avoid that. Your skin is stretching a lot. But other than those few moments, like all the contractions and stuff, I think spraining my ankle hurt more than all my contractions.
All that, yeah. I've heard people say things like that. I really have. I think it comes down to the like difference of like pain when something's wrong versus pain of like our body doing a physiological function that it was made to do. Or like there's a purpose behind it, where like pain when you sprain your ankle, just it's because it hurts.
Yeah, and I was really scared too. I was like, did I break my ankle? Did I sprain my ankle? Is this pain going to go away? You know, like obviously it does. But yeah, I think the fear, tension, pain cycle was going on when I sprained my ankle to the point where I was shaking. You know, I had never been in pain so much that I was shaking. But I didn't shake during birth. So I don't know. Just interesting.
Interesting. That is very interesting because a lot of women do shake during birth.
Yeah.
Even with like epidurals. I mean, technically the epidural does cause shakiness, but that's very interesting. All right. What are some common misconceptions about hypnobirthing?
I think the biggest one, well, there's maybe two that I can think of that I get a lot. One of them is that mom will be like hypnotized to the extent of like stage hypnosis, right? Where they like make you do funny things. You don't know what's going on. That's a big one that I get, where that's just not true. The hypnosis is mom's very much in control. She's consenting to everything. She knows what's happening around her. It's just really that deep relaxation and getting to that point. And that's what the hypnosis is. We go into versions of hypnosis throughout the day. Some examples of that are like when you're driving and then you end up at your destination and you're like, how did I get here? That's a version of hypnosis. Reading books, like we were talking about, when you're really into a book or like a movie and it's just like the whole world, that's a version of hypnosis. And so that would be one misconception, is that mom's not aware of what's going on or not in control, where it's really the opposite. The other one is that you have to be very quiet to do hypnobirthing, which some moms are very quiet during labor and birth, but I would say the majority of moms, there's very like normal noises while you're pushing out baby, even while you're just laboring, those low moans, different things like that are very normal to experience. Your body most of the time just kind of does it for you. You're not necessarily like trying to make noise. And so I would say that's a big one too, is that if you do hypnobirthing and then you end up not being quiet, I've heard moms think they like failed because they didn't have this quiet birth, but that could not be farther from the truth either. Like it's okay. Noises are very normal.
Yeah, and you can't control it. I feel like when especially towards the end when things are more intense, I don't know, it comes out of your mouth. It's your way of just your body's way of like managing things.
Yeah, and those noises and like doing those moaning and different things, those are comfort measures too. Sometimes they can really help people feel better and kind of help manage, just like you said. So yeah, those are probably the biggest misconceptions I've kind of heard. I think the hypno really throws people off, the name of it.
Yeah. It would have thrown me off. Because
yeah.
it sounds a little woo-woo, and I'm like,
yes, it does.
I'm not a woo-woo person.
This is not
like,
me.
That sounds a little weird.
So yeah, it really is. Just like, I think once people realize, oh, it's really just that relaxation, it really isn't anything too crazy or out there.
Yeah, for sure. So we've talked about some like anecdotal evidence, my experience, your experiences of how hypnobirthing works, but is there scientific evidence that it works or is helpful?
Yeah, there has been studies done on it. I don't know like exact numbers and stuff, off the top of my head. But yes, I know they have had studies just showing that it can help reduce that anxiety, fear, or like the less moms asking for pain management, not as often, different things like that. So it is evidence-based on being able to work. So yeah.
Love that.
That's awesome. And I remember in class talking about how you have less interventions, you have a lower chance of having a C-section, just all sorts of amazing outcomes.
Yeah, I think just when we don't have that tension in our body, again, like our body's not fighting against what it's trying to do. We're not fighting against ourselves. And so yeah, it's able to just happen instead of maybe us blocking it. And it's so interesting, even as a doula, I've seen it a couple times. There's one experience that I remember the most, but I was with a mom and she had been laboring for a long time. And then she finally told me she was so scared to push. And so we kind of talked through that fear. And then eventually she kind of just like came to terms with it, that she was going to be able to do it. It was going to be okay. Anyway, and then it all of a sudden just like progressed so fast. And so it was so interesting, like that mental block that she had of pushing. And we talked about it after. I talked about it with her, but it was really holding her back, I think, from actually getting to pushing because she was so scared of it. And so once she kind of got over that and it wasn't there anymore, her body just was able to finish and do, with that mental block out of the way, it was just able to do what it was made to do. So it's just crazy the power that our minds have.
Yeah. And I remember those last few minutes of being in labor, my midwife saying, like, don't fight with that urge to push. Just let your body do it. And that was like the exact advice I needed, because it feels so weird when your body is just starting to push. It's a sensation like none else.
Yeah.
And it is something you're like, oh, this feels weird. I don't want to feel that. You want to like tense up and make it stop. But yeah, if you can stay relaxed, just let your body do what you got to do. Then you're not fighting against yourself and your body and other people and all the things.
Yes. No, it's so true. Yeah. Yeah. So cool.
Can you share like one of the exercises or techniques that you teach?
Yeah. So this is like really simple. There's some that are like very simple, I guess, like techniques, but one of them is really just positive affirmations. We talk about changing our wording for different birth words that maybe have negative connotations. So the biggest example is contractions. Instead of calling them contractions, they'll use surge or wave. And so since contractions have a lot of fear, or people associate pain with contractions, kind of changing those words can just help get rid of that negative association when you're talking about it or thinking about it. So changing our vocabulary, and then, like I said, positive affirmations too, just about like my body was made to birth. I can do this, just different things. I can do anything for 1 minute, any of those affirmations. So we actually hand out like a little affirmation cards, and I always tell moms to put them somewhere where they'll see very often, like a bathroom mirror while they're brushing their teeth, or the kitchen, or just somewhere that they are a lot throughout the day to kind of see and remind their minds. So that's one that's like very simple, literally positive affirmations that can really change things and just, be very helpful in that getting over that fear or those programming that's in our brain.
Did you have a favorite affirmation, Chelsea?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact wording, but it was pretty much like I can trust my baby and my body to birth.
I love that one. Yeah.
Whatever that one is. That one came to my mind like my whole birth. And whenever someone would like try and like fight me on doing a home birth or whatever, I'd be like, my baby and my body know how to do this. Like I can trust them to take care of it.
No, I love that. Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely a big one. Another one that's fairly simple is meditation. So hypnobirthing does have like a main meditation, the rainbow relaxation one Chelsea talked about, but really any meditations that you just listen to in a like every day, if you're pregnant and like preparing for labor, just to practice getting into that relaxed state. And so that your body knows when it hears that it's okay, that you're safe, that it's okay to relax. And it kind of reminds you that when you are in labor, when you hear that, your body's conditioned to already being calm while you listen to that. So that would be another one that's fairly simple, is meditations, and just kind of finding that calm and being able to do that. I feel like with the world being so loud, we don't take that much time, at least not me, to like meditate or really just like be with myself. And so I would say that's a big part of hypnobirthing, is doing that and practicing that during pregnancy.
That rainbow relaxation. I listened to it so many times. My brain is so trained. Like the other day, I was up nursing my baby in the middle of the night, and then I couldn't go back to sleep. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna turn the rainbow relaxation on." And then, like, boom, I was asleep in like 2 minutes.
Fall asleep, yeah. I know it works. It really does.
I feel like I need that, and I'm not even pregnant.
Yeah, and it's just like it's like training a dog. You know, like. When I was a kid, my dog would always jump on the sliding glass door, and then we would like squirt it with a spray bottle, and eventually she stopped doing it. But it's like the reverse, you know, like you just train your body. I listen to this, and then I'm relaxed, and then I fall asleep or whatever. So,
yeah. No,
I can send it to you if you want to.
Okay.
Yeah, you need it.
Okay, so what advice do you have for partners or support people who want to be involved or supportive to someone who's doing a hypnobirthing or trying to do a natural birth or something?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing is just being present. And that's during pregnancy and also during the birth. During pregnancy, that could look like talking to each other about fears or different things like that. It can look like going to the childbirth classes with your wife. It's so important for dad to learn the techniques and learn all of this too, because they're typically mom's anchor, right, through it. They're helping, they're right there. And so if they don't know what's normal or what's happening, or they don't know what she's been practicing, it's really hard to help. So being present would be a big one during the birth, not being on your phone. I've been to too many births, I feel like, where as a doula, where the dad's just like playing a game or something on their phone. And I'm like, no. Like, please, we're here right now. So that would be a big one too, like during the birth, like just being there and being that emotional support. And again, I think that's hard sometimes, especially if someone's maybe not comfortable with that as much. And when you're not familiar with birth, it can feel a little uncomfortable. So again, that's why during pregnancy, it's so important to be very active in the preparation so that you are familiar with everything that's kind of going on as much as you can be. So that would probably be my biggest thing, is to learn those tools and those techniques and how you can help mom in that moment.
Yeah, my husband wasn't able to come to most of the classes, but he read the book, and that alone just helped him to have the same like theoretical standpoint on birth that I did.
Yes, yeah. The Hypnobirthing book, the Mongan method, it's so good. It really does follow along what you learn in class really well. So that can be just as helpful. Yeah, having them read the books, watch birth videos, all the things, right? Just get them really familiarized with what you're wanting, so then they can kind of be on the same page, like you said.
Yeah, and I totally agree with what you said about just them just being present, because that's like the main thing I needed during my labor was I just needed my husband there next to me. He's like such a calm presence. Mm-hmm. Partially just because his personality, but also just having him there. Like he held my hand the whole time. At one point I was like almost about to convince him to try to get in the pool with me, but I know he didn't really want to do that. But I know some husbands end up in the pool.
Wasn't it like a really tiny pool?
It's so tiny. It kind of reminds me of, okay, our very first apartment was so tiny. Our shower was probably like, I don't know, not even 2 feet by 2 feet. And like once we were trying to take a shower together and it got so hot in there with both of our bodies that I started to pass out.
Oh my God.
And I'm like slipping down. And anyways, the doors pop open. Anyways, unrelated, but a funny story. But just having your spouse there next to you is so calming.
It really is. It really is. It's like mom really is the one that obviously is doing all the work and that has to go through it. And no one can necessarily save you from that, but just having your spouse or any other support person there just really is such a game changer. Just other people believing in you too and cheering you on.
I remember reading in just like my couples therapy training, reading this research about they had women who like consented to be shocked, and they would rate their pain, and then they had another group of women be shocked while holding their husband's hands, and they rated their pain as less, just from the oxytocin of holding hands of someone who cares about you. So I felt like
that's so interesting. Yeah, that's because the oxytocin obviously too, we want that in labor to help our surges or contractions to keep going, but also it's just that love hormone too, so it can be very comforting too to have that.
This is making me like nostalgic for my birth, just talking about this.
You're like, I'm ready.
My biggest regret is not getting a birth photographer. Someone asked me and I was like, of course, no, I don't want people there like whatever. But now I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to have another kid, and I wish I had pictures of it.
I know the birth. I do always tell people that I'm like, the pictures, they're just, they're so worth it. Like, you won't ever regret it, just because you can't ever like get that moment back. And it is kind of cool to see, because you are kind of in your own world, or like labor land, like they like to say. And so it is cool to like see pictures of yourself and be like, wow, like I did that.
Yeah.
Like, that's me.
Yeah. I have one picture my husband took like probably 60 seconds after birth, and I look so gross. And my baby's like covered in junk. And it's the worst angle, but it's like so precious to me.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so it is. It's so special.
Yeah. I had for my daughter who was scheduled C-section, I had a nurse who was just incredible. She's like, actually, she didn't have my phone. She used her phone, and she took pictures of my daughter being born via C-section and them bringing her up to the plastic. And I'm just like, thank you. And she sent them all. She's like, I shouldn't do this, but here you go. And I was just like, wow, thank you. And it's like, you don't think of a C-section being a beautiful experience. It's not. I mean, you can't have a photographer in there. But it was just like, oh, I'm so glad I have these photos of her being born. And I don't know. I didn't get that with my son because he was born during COVID, and it was a mess. But they are really special memories. Sorry to rub it in that you don't have those, but
that's okay. Maybe we'll try to recreate it.
You can look at your bedroom floor and be like, I gave birth there.
I think that literally every day. I'm like, I gave birth right there. It just blows my mind. Oh, man.
What was the book you mentioned?
Yeah, so it's called Hypnobirthing, the Mongan Method. And so Marie Mongan is the founder of Hypnobirthing. So she's the one that kind of created it. And then now it's just kind of grown to what it is. So that's the book. And if you take a hypnobirthing class, it's usually 5 classes. But the book really does follow along pretty closely with what you learn in class is really in the book too. So, but I always recommend people reading the book. It's so good. So
Are there any other resources you would recommend for prospective parents who want to learn about it?
There's so many. Ina May's Guide to Childbirth is like a really good, I always tell people if they're interested in like unmedicated birth, that's like a good one, I feel like, to kind of start with. Another one that I really like is called Babies Aren't Pizza, They're Born, Not Delivered. It's so good. It's written by, she was a nurse, but it's like her experience with labor and delivery. And she goes over like different hospital things like in America. It's a little bit more, like, what's the word? Like research based, but it's really good. It has such good information in it. And then what else? On Instagram, some of my favorite accounts. One's called Built to Birth. She's one of my favorites to follow. And then there's one called Pain Free Birth that also has really good information and resources. So those are some on the top of my head.
Awesome. We'll put all of those in the show notes for people to reference.
Awesome. Okay, we have a few questions that got submitted by listeners. So 3 more questions. Okay, so what percentage of people do hypnobirthing? What percentage of people who do a hypnobirthing class do a home birth versus a hospital birth? Or it can be your guess if you don't know an exact.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Honestly, like most of my classes are hospital births. I would say the majority of them are hospital births that are moms wanting to go unmedicated. But I even do have moms that are wanting to get an epidural. Hypnobirthing can be very beneficial even if you are planning on getting an epidural. There's lots of times before you even get to the hospital and before you can get the epidural that you'll need coping mechanisms and coping skills. So I don't know like an exact percentage, but like I said, I would say like the majority, like if I have 8 people in a class, I would maybe have like 1 or 2 home births, and then the rest are usually hospital births. So
and epidurals don't always work. So
yeah, we both
don't always work. Yes, another reason why it's good to have other skills besides just epidural.
That's great.
That's really cool. If you do a home birth, or do you know, you might not know this, what do you do with all the blood and placenta and the mess? Do you know?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. It's honestly really, I get this question, I've had this question before, and it's funny when I first had told my mom that I was doing a home birth, that was the first thing she asked. She was like, what are you going to do with the mess? And I was like, I don't know. I guess I didn't really like think about it at the time. I was like, I don't know. But anyway, a lot of times moms will have water births when you're at home, which then typically all the like placenta, which usually moms start bleeding a lot more once the placenta is delivered. So all the water is just in there, and then they just pump the water down like the bathtub or the shower drain. So it's really not a big deal. If you're on the bed, home birth midwives are very skilled. They have chucks pads down. They usually have you like double make your bed with like a waterproof thing. So then if anything gets on the mattress, you just take, or on like the sheets, you literally just take off the top two that you had, like the sheet and the waterproof part, and then your bed's already made still. But honestly, I've never seen, even on moms that I've seen give birth like on a bed or whatever, I've never really seen like a big mess. The midwives I think they're just really good at like taking care of it, because I just don't even. What happened with you, Chelsea? Because didn't you go from the pool to the bed?
Yeah. So they wanted me to deliver my placenta in bed so they could measure blood loss. Did you deliver your placenta in the water or in the bed?
Yeah, I had mine in the water.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they made me move to bed, because I ended up having a hemorrhage and losing a lot of blood, which it's harder to measure when you're in the water. But yeah, they had a ton of chucks pads down, and yeah, we double made our bed. So we had like our normal sheets. Well, we had, our mattress, our normal mattress protector, our normal sheets, and then a layer of plastic. We did 2 shower curtains because it was cheaper than buying a plastic. Anyways, we bought shower curtains at the Dollar Tree and taped them together and put that on our bed. And then we bought just like the cheapest sheet we could find on Amazon. It was like $8 for a sheet, and we put that on top of that. So, but again, like I said, I had a hemorrhage, so I ended up going in an ambulance to the hospital. So I wasn't there when they did all the cleanup. So it's a mystery, and it's kind of a mystery. I think it's nice to know that it's just, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's just cleaned up.
It gets taken care of. Unless you're doing...
midwives are really awesome. They like leave your house, at least when I had my home birth with my second, they left my house like clean. They started the laundry that needed to be started. Like it was all cleaned up. The birth pool was put away. Like they take care of it.
Yeah, when we came home from the hospital, our house was, it was clean. And they even like turned down the bed. I was like, I know exactly. I like walked into my bedroom. I was like, okay, I know exactly where they want me to go. My sheets are turned down. My pillows were like stacked up like I was going to go sit in bed. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Midwives are angels.
Yeah, I know they are.
Okay, last question. What kind of training, well, I'm going to expand on this, but what kind of training is required to become a doula and a hypnobirthing educator?
Yeah. So for being a doula, there's like a lot of different things you can do. One, there are people that don't even get certified. Like you can just become a doula just by going to births if that's something that you like to do. I know people that have just like their whole lives, they had gone to births and then they hear about what a doula is and they're like, oh, I already like am doing that, right? So you don't necessarily need like a certification it really is just supporting women in the birth space. But there are a ton of agencies like online or in person where you can go and you do like a training course. It's usually like a couple days where they go over like basic birth education and comfort measures and different like doula techniques. And then you get like a little certificate that says you're a certified doula. So those are kind of like different routes for that. And then what was it? Oh, the hypnobirthing educator. So to become a hypnobirthing educator, it's a course through the Hypnobirthing Institute. I did you do like a 4-day online Zoom course. That was it's 8 hours each day. And then they send you the certificate and all these like resources and stuff for it. So it's also just a certificate that you get through a little course.
4 days. That's not a little course. It probably was. So
it was pretty long.
Yeah. You know so much. It was just I loved being in your class because it's such a beautiful thing when you get to witness someone like passionate and knowledgeable about their thing. It's like how I feel like when I go to like a dance concert or something and they're really talented. I'm like, how do they do that? That's so amazing. That's how I felt like watching you teach this class. I'm like, how does she know all this? It's so amazing. And your passion just really shone through.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So yes, yeah. I feel like too though, with being a hypnobirthing educator and just like being a doula, I feel like I really did learn the most. Just one, like experiencing births, but just researching stuff on my own too. Just kind of diving into everything and educating. It's so nice living in the day and age that we do just because there's so much resources and so much information.
Yeah. And just to kind of wrap things up here, what is one thing you want every woman to know about hypnobirthing or childbirth?
Yeah, I think the main thing that I want people to know is just that they can do it. After I'd posted and like my birth story with my second and having home birth, I had so many people message and be like, oh, that's so cool. just being very interested in it. They're like, I don't know if I could ever do it. But then it was cool, like as the years have gone by, I'll get messages randomly of people being like, I did it. Like I saw your story and then I looked into it all and I've been able to do it too. And so that's been something that's been really neat and really special to me, is just seeing these women really like take that power back to make those decisions if that's the type of birth that they want, and then doing it. And so I think that would be my biggest thing that I hope women and people would know, is just that you can do it and that it is possible, and that our bodies were made to birth our babies, and is a great tool to be able to help kind of get rid of that fear. But also like there are a lot of other amazing childbirth courses too that I'm sure have really good things that they teach too that can help. So, but just that it is possible.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of your knowledge with us. Where can people find you?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is alex_happybirthing.az on Instagram. So I can have you put that somewhere too.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes, and we'll put up a post when this goes live and tag you. And cool. So if you're interested in hypnobirthing and learning more or want to take a class, go check out Alex. Thank you so much. I learned so much. This was really fun and educating.
Yeah, thanks so much, Alex. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of She Would Know.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe and leave a rating and review.
We would love to hear from you. If you have suggestions for topics and experts you would like to listen to in the future, drop a line in the comments or send us a message on social media.
To stay up to date with She Would Know and get all the behind the scenes content, follow us on Instagram and TikTok at shewouldknow.podcast.
Don't forget to stay curious